Tonight's true story was submitted by Beautiful Display 371, and it's called The Attachment. I had just graduated high school when this happened. This is a very long recollection of what happened, but I wanted to give as much detail as I could so that hopefully you can get a sense of exactly how the interaction went down and how it affected me as accurately as possible. Also, a bit of info on the region. We lived in and around the Appalachians. Not sure if that's important or even related to what happened, but still, the encounter happened at night. So this happened about 2 or 3 years ago, but it still haunts me today. I was with a group of people that I knew. One of my friends suggested that we all go hang out at a place that they used to go often. Not thinking anything of it, we all agreed. This was a place in and around town square, kind of important later. We'll call this place X. We didn't know a lot about the history of this place prior to going, other than the usual small town gossip. The part of X that we were in was below a small paved hill leading to a broken, falling apart building. This building was made of brick and was missing huge chunks of two walls diagonal to each other. While walking towards the building and at the top of the paved hill, I started feeling off. The closer we got, the worse the feeling became before I even saw the building, covered by trees. As soon as the building came into view, there was a feeling of absolute dread weighing on my chest, and I had paused my walk for a second before my sister caught my attention to keep moving. We got to the gravel-type walkway to the building, and my pace slowed dramatically. A couple people walked in, no problem, while I just watched from the opening in the wall. My sister was beside me. I attempted to slowly walk in as well, but it was like there was an invisible wall stopping me from taking a single step inside. It felt like a pressure on the center of my chest, pushing me away. It stayed like this for a few more attempts, becoming increasingly more difficult until I was finally able to walk in a bit. Once inside, I walked very slowly while looking around the single-room building. Without realizing, I stopped in the center of the room. I start to feel even worse at this moment, like I'm being hypnotized. That's when I feel it. A presence behind me as invisible hands slowly rake from my back to the top of my shoulders. I become frozen in fear, unable to speak. My sister looks at me confused and asks if I'm okay. I can't answer, only blankly stare at her as she slowly repeats the question. After not getting a response the second time, she looks at me in silence for a few seconds as I'm still blankly staring back. Then, as if realizing exactly what was happening, her face drops and just barely loud enough says to everyone else, "We need to leave now. It's time to go." Repeatedly, twice, as she slowly grabs my arm and guides me to the exit. Everyone else there is understandably confused, out of their minds, and when they ask my sister why, what's happening, my sister just repeats what she's already said. Once out and at the top of the paved hill again, my sister stops and asks me again if I'm okay. I can speak now, but only barely. I reply in a whisper, saying I didn't know. She proceeds to take me up into the main town square and sits me down on a bench. She asks me again with a heavily concerned look on her face. I answer saying I'm a bit better, but not much. Someone else suggested we go to the opposite side of the square, away from the area of X. So that's what we do. Once sitting over there, I start to feel noticeably much better. I'm able to explain in some detail what happened inside X. Everyone either believes me or wants to, but just can't. As we sit there and a few moments go by, I start to feel like I'm being watched again. I feel my eyes move on their own towards the other side of the square, where we just were prior, closest to X. I look at a dark, open doorway and I see it. A dark figure as tall as the door, standing straight and still. It wasn't trying to be discreet either. Its full form was in the doorway, with its feet shoulder-length apart, arms at its sides, and looking directly at me. I asked my friend beside me if she saw something there too. She says, yeah, peeking around the corner. I thought to myself, why do you see it differently than I do? We decided to walk back to our friend's house a few roads away from the square. However, as we walk, I feel it following, getting closer and closer before backing away, and then doing that all over again and again. Each time it touched either one of my arms or occasionally one of my legs. Every time it came in contact with one of my limbs, that limb became more and more numb until I just couldn't move to no matter how hard I tried. By the time we made it to the friend's house, almost all of my limbs were completely numb, and I was limping a bit. When we got to the house and I sat on the couch, all feeling slowly but surely came back to my body. But I still felt that present for a whole year straight after this encounter. After that full year, it had come and gone. Even to this day, I still feel like it's watching me at times. Even now, years later, we all refuse to go back to X ever again. Now, I shared this story because I can identify with it. I went to a place and I could feel the presence of that place, even when the first time I was looking for it, when I had just gotten real vague directions on how to get to the site. I knew I was there by feel. You could feel it in the ground, in the air. So I'm wondering if any of you guys have experiences like that where you've been to a place and you can almost just taste it. You know, you can feel the history or the energy there, the imprint that it's left. But that's been Jay's Haunted Appalachia for tonight. Keep sending me your stories and suggestions, guys. Thank you, Beautiful Disaster, for letting me share your story. And keep Appalachia haunted, y'all.